This is the thing. You present your case, you bring these people with you, you present your case, the other person speaks, and they're then able to determine what is truth and right. Because a lot of times in these arguments and in these disagreements, our perspective gets twisted, or we forget what actually occurred in a situation. We perceived something to occur, and maybe it didn't actually occur. This is the point. So again, you a one-on-one, brother received because I talked to him. Yeah, he listened. Awesome. But if not, now we're going to sit before 2 or 3 people that are going to mediate the conversation. This is why I think Frank Mazza is our mediator. We have a mediator for our business meetings. If you've ever been around here, sometimes they get heated a little bit, right? Well, you need the middle man, you need the middle person to help the conversation along. We don't need to get upset. We don't need to get angry. We need to understand each other from each other's perspective. And so this idea, though, of 2 or 3 witnesses isn't new to Jesus speaking here. It's not new. How many of you oftentimes take one person's side of the story and say that's the truth? We all have, I know. Right? We can nod. It's okay. God forgives you. But we do that. We take one side of the story. We never seek out the other side of the story. This is why Jesus set up this whole system, or God set up a whole system about this idea of needing 2 witnesses for things. 2 people saying the same thing probably means it happens. Deuteronomy 19:15 tells us, a single witness shall not suffice against a person for any crime. One person against one person, no good. Doesn't work. Right? Even in a court of law, we see this. Multiple witnesses get brought before everybody to present the case. It's not one person's word against another person's word. So in Deuteronomy 19:15, single witness shall not suffice against one person's crime. But it says this, only on the evidence of 2 witnesses or 3 witnesses shall the charges be established. If 2 or 3 people are saying that thing happened or that you did it, you probably did it. Right? It's just being willing to admit that you did it. 2 Corinthians 13:1 says this is the 3rd time I am coming to you. In the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses shall every word be established. Paul says the same thing to the church in Corinth. You don't do this one-on-one thing, one against another. Yes, one against another, it takes place in private. You have a conversation about it. But if that can't be fixed and resolved in the one-on-one, then you bring these other people into the 2 or 3 witnesses to establish what is truth and good and right. 1 John 5:6-12 talks about these witnesses of how we know who Jesus is. It says in verse 7, it says, for there are 3 that testify to who Jesus is. Okay, so clearly there's this theme that's carried out, and the 3 are this. It says the Spirit, the water, and the blood. And the 3 are in agreement. And simply put, in 1 John, what he's saying there is that these 3 things were established to say who Jesus was. So the Spirit, the water, and the blood, these things, so we know by the evidence of those 3 things that Jesus was the Messiah. All of these things. So having 2 or 3 people to kind of mediate, to kind of guard, will establish what the truth of the situation is. They get your side of the story. The other person's side of the story gets known. Right? Not that you're not truthful, not that you're not trustworthy, but we can't be doing the one-on-one thing in this context then. Especially if it doesn't work out the first time. We need the people to help establish what really happened. And as an encouragement to you, 90% of the problem probably gets resolved by this step 2. If you've attempted to talk to them one-on-one, if a group of you went to the person and had these mediators in place, 90% of the problems will get resolved. Why? Because by that second time, like I said, if 2 or 3 people are going, you did it, the logic says you did it. So being willing to admit it then at that point is like, you're right, I was wrong. I did make a mistake. I did mess up. I did sin against you.